it broke me. Like literally, I was just like, man, I was really hurt after that. I went through like 2 years of like depression after that, just because like, I was just trying to figure out what to do with my life. My name is Earnest Epps.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Spiros here, and today I have a very good friend of mine as a guest. You might have seen him on his social media, you might have watched some of his videos on YouTube, or you might have joined some of his program. I'm talking about Mr. Earnest Epps. Ernest is an expert when it comes to high-ticket dropshipping, an international public speaker, and a success coach. I'm very happy to have you here on my show. Welcome, Earnest, to Greece.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, bro?
Doing phenomenal, man. I appreciate you guys inviting me out to Greece.
How do you like Athens? You having a good time?
Oh, man, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. Just the culture, the food, the people, just everything has just been spectacular so far.
Actually, before you arrived here on Athens, you have been in Barcelona.
Yes, I was in Barcelona.
You were speaking there.
Yes, I got an opportunity to speak in front of a couple thousand people in Barcelona.
Nice. How was there, the experience?
Oh, man, it was great. It was my second time going to Barcelona. Mm-hmm. So my Barcelona is special to me because that's where I got my first paid speaking engagement like 2 years ago. So it was funny because I'm getting more love internationally than I get like in the US.
Really?
Yeah, so
you gotta love Earnest, man.
Yeah, people love me around the world. So
and how was the vibe, the European vibe, the difference between the American audience and the European audience?
I really like the vibe, across all audiences really, but again, just like outside the US is just really special. It's just, I don't know, they just seem to appreciate you a little bit more.
Really?
People coming up, taking photos, acting like I'm a rock star, it's kind of cool.
You are, brother. You are an e-com rock star.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so, in interviews like this, people want to hear the backstories of the guest. Mm-hmm. And I know your backstory, and I know it's like you, from zero, you became what you are today. Like the king of high-ticket e-commerce. Yeah. So I really want you to share with us and with our audience your story. You are working a 9 to 5. You had a child from a very young age,
yep.
And now you're traveling the world, meeting people all around the globe, making interview, in Greece. It's a life that everyone wants.
Yeah.
So tell us how you managed to arrive.
The thing is that a lot of people, if you look at my backstory and kind of like all the highlights now, like you see over like the last like 4 years, things have been going great, doing really well in the e-com, people flying me all over the world to speak. But really, I like to give people like the backstory of where I first kind of got introduced to e-commerce. Because contrary to what most people see, if you look at the last 4 years, I really learned about e-commerce in 2009. Right. So I actually, and it's kind of funny, it wasn't even like the traditional way you would learn about an online program. I found out about e-commerce. I got a flyer in the mail.
Oh, old school marketing.
Straight old school marketing, baby. It still works.
Yeah.
So I got a flyer in the mail, and it was just, talking about, hey, make money on the internet, learn how to do it, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the exact pitch, but they invited you to a free engagement. Okay. And again, I don't know anything about sales funnels or anything like that. So I went to the free event, and then it was so good, they sold a ticket at the end of that event to the next event. And so I bought the ticket.
They upsold you.
Yeah, they upsold me. Nice. Upsold me from the free event to the paid event. And then at the paid event, pretty much at the end of that, they offered like a bunch of different packages and stuff from like 10,000 all the way up to like 25, 30,000. And I actually bought a $15,000 package.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got the upsell.
Yeah, I bought the big upsell.
High ticket from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
That's nice. But you arrived at this event, and what was the point that made you look for other opportunities in your life apart from your 9 to 5 job? What was your lifestyle until?
Well, this is where big kind of like kudos to Robert Kiyosaki, because I read his third book first, which was like what separates the poor and middle class from the rich, and that book specifically just absolutely just changed my entire thought process. like actually when I read it, I got really angry.
Really?
Really, I got mad because I was just like, no one shared any of this stuff with me in school.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, my mom, she said, the way you get rich or the way you get successful is you got to go to school. You got to get, and I'm not saying this because like that's the whole, thing people talk about with entrepreneurship. Like that was literally like what my mom like was conditioning us to do. Like she literally had us picking out what we wanted to major in like middle school.
Yeah.
So it was like she started early prepping us to like figure out what it is we wanted to do in life because she wanted to set us on the right path in order to, quote unquote, create success for ourselves. Right. And she was in the type of environment, again, worked in corporate, has been working for the government for like, I don't know how many years now, like 20, 30 years.
Your mother.
She's been there long enough they're giving her plaques.
My God. Oh my God.
That's how you know you've been working somewhere too long.
Yeah.
They're giving you plaques, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so that was the trajectory she set me down on. And so when I read Robert's book and, started seeing all the stuff that was in there, I was just like, holy moly, like no one shared this with me. I'm like, why was this kept a secret? Like I really thought like these secrets were being hid from me.
Yeah.
And so like when I read it, I got so angry, I read it twice.
Really?
Yeah, so I read it a second time and then I was just like, okay, and because I didn't really understand the concepts, I read it a third time. I mean literally like all back to back to back. And if anyone's ever and if anyone knows that book, it's like 300 some pages or something like that. So it's a really long book. And I read it 3 times back to back. And the third time I read it, I actually took notes literally as if it was a college like class that I had to attend.
Yeah.
Like I went through every single chapter and dissected everything it is that he said. And obviously one of the core concepts of the book, because in that specific book, he talked a little bit about the cash flow quadrant where you got like employee, small business owner, and then investor. And so, just kind of understanding those concepts and everything, I started to educate myself. And it was just like, all right, I need to figure out how to get to the right side of the quadrant, how to become an owner and an investor.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that looks like, but I need to do something on that side. So essentially, like that's what got me kind of piqued my curiosity of just, it was like, okay, I need to do a thing. And then it was just like, this is the thing that kind of came up. But inevitably what happened from 2009, if we fast forward to 2015, is I actually didn't do anything really entrepreneur wise.
Really?
So I paid 15 grand for that program, did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, like most people.
Yeah, like most people. And the reason is because I was so distracted on like my career, right? Like, I'm climbing the corporate ladder, like I'm getting raises, I'm expanding the business and stuff for the companies I'm working for. And so that took majority of my time. And it was just like, after work, it was just like, I got this little thing I'm supposed to be doing, a little side hustle. It's just like I would do stuff when it was convenient. It was just like, I need to do product research. I don't feel like doing it tonight, so I'm not gonna do it. Oh, the game's on. I'm gonna go hang out with my boys. Like I don't need to do that business stuff right now. So I did that, and essentially like that's what happened from 2009 to 2015 because I tried other things in the process too as well. Like I tried affiliate marketing, tried network marketing. Try starting a blog website, try to do Google AdSense, like
you had
the whole
no
shebang.
Success with any of that?
None of it. And
really?
The thing is like, and I'll get to that here shortly, but I had no success with any of that stuff. And like we kind of talked about, like most people, when I did it, I kind of did it when it was convenient. I kind of poked at it is what I tell people sometimes. Just like, I'll do something today. Then you'll do something 3 weeks later. Then you do something 3 months later. Right? And then it just all adds up. And it's just like, man, I thought I was supposed to be starting a business. So what really made me focus on like doing something, and I'll talk about like e-com specifically. But the thing that made me focus on doing something was in 2013, I got what I consider like my dream job, right? Like, I mean, like the thing that you would say like, hey, if I had this type of job, like I would probably never work anywhere else again. I'm taken care of, I'm good. And specifically with that company, I was a sales director for a marketing firm.
Nice.
And
you had an experience on marketing before?
No. So, well, the experience came from specifically, so how I got started learning about marketing was I worked for a door-to-door company.
Okay. Sales, huh?
Yeah, so door-to-door sales, like, and how that happened was I had a friend of mine when I moved back home for my second year in college. She came up to me, and I was looking for a job while I was kind of going to school, and she's like, man, I'm making $10 an hour. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing for $10 an hour? And she's like, I'm knocking on doors and passing out flyers. I'm like, all right, cool, sign me up.
Yeah.
Like
The
literally,
entrepreneurial
like
spirit.
that was. Yeah, well, again, my logical thinking, and here, because I look at things really, really simple, right? So it's like this job was paying $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Everything else, minimum wage at the time in the state of Virginia in the U.S. was like $7 an hour. So like minimum wage 7, door to door 10. You know, simple numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'll go do that $10 an hour thing. And so I started working there. And then, you know, as I started working there, I started to grow with that company. Ultimately, I became a marketing director because I just started learning all the ins and outs of, you know, how to, specifically in that industry, it was in the remodeling industry. So how to like go out and generate leads, acquire customers, help the business grow, train, recruit, hire
didn't
staff.
have a funnel back then, yeah?
Yeah, no. So I just learned the entire process of the business and, you know, just started growing very successfully with that company. And then I got job opportunities from other companies. And so essentially like my whole kind of learning experience from a marketing perspective was all just hands-on learning. And it was all offline traditionally.
In the trenches.
In the trenches. Yeah. So because I didn't go to school for that because that's the other side. People are like, oh, did you go to school for marketing or e-commerce or sales? And I'm like, no, I went to school for computer stuff. And I still don't really use any of that stuff today. Actually, I don't even think I took a computer class the 2 years I went to school.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I think I took maybe one computer class. You know, the school system's so jacked up, man. They got you taking like bowling and like, you know, all this other junk. Like, again, even though English and history is great, but like, if I want to go to school to like become like a major in computer science or a doctor or a lawyer, like why shouldn't I immediately start learning that?
You need the real skills,
You know, like it's like, and now if like someone comes to me and wants to learn about e-commerce and like, you know, I'm sitting down and like I'm teaching them about the history of e-com. Nobody wants to learn about the history. People want to learn how to get paid.
Also, it's good to have a connection, you know, the background, the general background, but then you have to go straight for the important stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of the stuff I think just school-wise is a little jacked up. But anyways, you know, that's where, so like, you know, in 2013, had my dream job, things were going great, was rocking things out, and then I got a phone call and essentially the company had fired me and let me go. And you know, for me personally, there was a big devastating blow.
That was which year?
This was in 2013.
Okay.
Yep. So 2013, I got fired, and you know, I just really had to figure out what I had to do with my life next. You know, because I had 2 kids. We had one on the way, and you know, we were in the process of like making that next step in terms of like getting a house and kind of, you know, sorting all the nice things out in life like you're supposed to, right? And you know, I just felt like all that stuff was just ripped away from me just within that instance. And I was just like, you know what, like I was like, I can't trust the job market anymore. Like I can't trust working for a company because at any point in time, you know, if they don't feel the need for you, if they got to restructure, and that's what happened to me. It was like a restructure.
Did you feel like they betrayed you?
Yeah, absolutely. All that, man. Like I was betrayed. Like, you know, the thing was, I was a super duper ridiculously loyal employee. I sacrificed a ton for the company. I mean, you know, to the point of where like, even when my kids were being born, I was in the hospital doing payroll.
Really?
Yeah, like doing payroll, doing company calls, like the whole 9 yards. To make sure that everything was running and functioning at, you know, top level, even with my personal stuff going on. Yeah, I was making a lot of sacrifices in order to make sure that the company was growing month after month. We're talking about millions of dollars being generated in the process with new areas that I'm helping them expand to that didn't exist prior to me actually being in that role.
Oh my God. You created new stuff for the company?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, inevitably, I actually developed, and the company, it wasn't a small company either. There was a couple thousand employees that worked there. I want to say it was between like 2,000, 2,500 employees that worked there. And so one of the things was with the new projects I was taking on for them, and I don't want to mention some of the brands because they're like billion-dollar companies, but they didn't have any type of onboarding process on like hiring, training, recruiting, staffing, inventory management. They didn't have any of that stuff. They were literally like hiring people, giving them like a little bit of information, just like praying that they learned enough to just like do the job.
Oh my God.
And so personally for me, one of the things I did that helped me expand my areas very rapidly, because it was multiple states that I was overseeing. It was actually from South Carolina up to Massachusetts. So it was like 14, 15 different states that I was helping the staff. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was flying all over the place. And that's what I say, like, it was really cool, like, when I was working there, because they were paying for my car, my cell phone, my gas. You know, I was making like close to 6 figures. It was awesome. And, you know, they didn't have any of these procedures. So I literally developed this entire like 200, 300 page like system for the company that didn't exist.
I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
You help a company with your entrepreneurial spirit.
Yep, and all that was just ripped away from me.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't smart enough to think of like patenting the program or like what I was doing, things of that nature. I wasn't that sharp at the time. So yeah, they just took all that, everything I had laid foundational wise there, and just boop, let me go.
So what changed on your mind when they let you go?
Well, like I said, it broke me. Like literally, I was just like, man, I was really hurt after that. You know, I went through like 2 years of like depression after that, just because like, you know, I was just trying to figure out what to do with my life, because I'm just like, you know, all the things that kind of happen when you start kind of feeling bad for yourself, like, man, I'm not good enough, like, you know, I'm a bad person, like, why did this happen to me, you know, and just playing that stuff in your head like over and over and over again is not healthy, number one, but number two is just that, you know, you just have to realize that you're most likely meant for something greater than the situation that you're in, and you just don't know that yet. You know, so
that's what led you here, man.
Exactly.
So you have to thank this company.
Yeah. In essence, I guess I gotta kind of do that, even though it kind of sucks to think about it that way. But yeah, so I knew I needed to do something different, and then what really sparked my interest back in the e-com, right? Because I had tried all these other things. I even tried to start a remodeling company myself. Like I tried a bunch of stuff, landscaping company. I was doing like whatever I could think of, right? And everything failed miserably. And so when I looked back, specifically what happened with e-com was that I came across, you know, some content online, but more specifically, I came across an article from an agency called the U.S. Census Bureau, where pretty much it's just like a research company that just compiles data and stuff like that. And they had this graph that showed at the time, it was like 2015, that by the year 2020, there would be $600 billion in transactions just on mobile and e-commerce in the U.S. market by itself. And I just thought to myself, like, you know what?
I have to jump on this train,
I'm like, man, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but like $600 billion? Like, there's got to be a way to get a piece of that pie. You know, like there's got to be a way. And so, you know, knowing what I kind of knew a little bit about people that was already doing e-com, you know, there was still like this disbelief that, you know, I wasn't going to be able to be successful and stuff like that. So what I did was I actually went out and I just bought a bunch of informational programs, right? So I bought like 5 different programs, and unlike most people, I actually went through all of the programs, like every single thing, took notes on all of them, and just kind of digested everything that everyone was saying. And one of the things that just kind of stuck out to me was just the fact that a lot of people, when they go to like source products and look for stuff to sell online, they mainly focus on things that are like $40 or less, you know? And I was just like, the thing with me in terms of like high ticket, it just piqued my curiosity. I was just like, well, don't people look for stuff, you know, that's expensive, like the same way that they look for cheap stuff? And, you know, again, I'm just like curious. And so the great thing about e-commerce is you don't have to guess. You know, we don't have to guess about how often someone's looking for something. Is there a market for something? What the customer demographic looks like that's potentially interested in that product. There's tools that can give us all the data for that, right? And so using some of those tools, I started doing research on like higher priced products. And I was like, holy crap, like, there's people looking for $3,000, $2,000, $1,000 products, $500 products every day, the same way they're looking for cheap products. And again, because I went through all these different programs and just had a little bit of information in terms of e-com from like the stuff that I had bought before, it was just like, well, logistically, when I go to build the business, don't I got to do the same thing? Like, don't I got to create a website? Don't I got to create like ads? Don't I have to like find suppliers? Don't I have to like, you know, fulfill orders? Like, logistically, everything to do to sell a product for $1,000 is the same thing I got to do to sell something for $20.
Yeah, but the profit is way better.
Exactly. So I was just like, well, I might as well just focus on the higher price stuff. You know, take the same effort to sell a $20 product as a $1,000 product. I was like, sign me up for the $1,000.
Yeah.
So that's what started my journey on, you know, specifically just focusing on like high ticket e-commerce.
So you went directly on high ticket products. You never tried lower, cheapest.
Nope, never tried it.
That's great. You wanted the good stuff from the beginning.
Yeah, I just wanted the good stuff, you know, because again, it just, like, I like to keep things real simple. As you've seen, like, when I started working at the door-to-door company, 7 versus 10.
Yeah.
1,000 versus 200.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm a simple guy across the board with a lot of this stuff. A lot of people think, like, you know, kind of watch me online. They start coming into my ecosystem. They're like, man, Earnest is so smart.
Yeah.
Like, he's a genius. Like, he's just so creative. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to find much of that over here.
You're also very humble guy. Yeah.
You know?
Which not many people with your success have this humbleness on them, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what really makes you successful. When you know you are successful and you know you have the tools to create your own destiny, you are humble because you don't have to show off anything.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So please tell us how you managed from a dropshipper, a full-time dropshipper, right? You quit, you lost your job, then you didn't try to find another job, right?
So that's what ended up happening, and this is what motivated me. So obviously from 2013, 2015, you know, savings account is depleting month over month over
you were
month
spending
over
your
month.
Savings all the time.
Yeah, like, so we was pretty much spending all the money I had kind of saved up.
Yeah.
And I started doing like little things just here and there to like make money, but it wasn't anything sustainable. And so it was just like, all right, you have to take care of your family, and sitting at the house and being a lazy bum and crying and complaining isn't going to solve anything. True. So you need to get your hind parts up and do something, you know? And so that was pretty much a lot of the conversation my fiance was giving me at the time.
Yeah. So you
indirectly sometimes.
By your side, she was supporting you, yeah?
I wouldn't say necessarily supporting me, but like saying, hey, you got to do something, you know? My fiance, she's pretty much like, you know, kind of like giving me like the edge to like go do something. Like I had to do something. So obviously the shortest and quickest way for me to fix my situation was getting a job, right? And so I got a job, and this is one thing I think is a little frustrating too when people start e-commerce, like, you know, because the barrier entry is so low, like they think that they don't have to do something to sustain themselves in the process of getting started, which is contrary to belief.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you gotta have something that's sustaining you at the time of getting started, because like things are just not always going to be perfect. Like with any business, like, you know, I would even say like even with like a McDonald's franchise or something of that nature, any major corporation that has like a franchise model or something, like you find a piece of land, you start building, and then, you know, doing the construction project, the contractors hit a water line or something like that, and now it delays your store launching for like 2 months, but you don't have any money saved up, right? And that's why they have certain parameters that you have to hit in terms of like net worth, cash you have to have on hand, because like things are going to happen, and you need to be liquid enough in order to resolve that, so you're not stressing out about the business potentially folding. So I'd look at the same thing on the e-com. Like, don't think that you can just get started. You can get started and get success even with the low budget. But the thing is that it doesn't always work out as perfect as we would like, because we're not in the perfect world.
It's a business model,
Exactly. Same thing, like even on the job side of things, if you're like a manager, anybody that's a manager knows that you can hire people, and sometimes like no matter how sexy their resume are, they are not the person behind that. You know? And so it's just part of life, right? So I think people got to approach e-commerce with the same mindset. And so that's what I did. Like I was like, all right, let me get a job so I can take care of my family. But while I do that, in the process of learning about e-commerce and like starting to get a little bit more educated on it, I was just like, you know what? When I get this job, I need to focus on something and do something else to like build my financial security. Because I just don't trust working for someone else. You know, just something could happen, right? But if I'm the person in control, like I can control what's happening, right? And so and that's what really led me to like researching more about e-com and getting more educated and things of that nature. And started aggressively just saying, hey, like what the heck is it going to do? And then e-com was the thing that I was going to do. And then it was just like, all right, Ernest, let's look at why all this other stuff didn't work, right? I really looked on the inside of like me personally. I said, you did really well with corporate. The job I ended up getting was like working as a human resource manager at the company I was working for. But it was just like, man, you did really, really well in corporate, but you sucked with business. Like everything you started just fell apart. Like, why is that? And I just looked at myself and was just like, you know what? You never really gave it your all consistently. Yeah. Like, you never really gave it everything.
Every day, yeah.
Like, and I was just like, you know what? That's the honest truth, right? And so I said, you know what? When you get started with e-com, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was September 2nd, 2015. Yeah. Like, I remember I was having a conversation with myself, and I said, you know what? For 30 days, just go all in. Yeah. Like, work this business as if you were working your job. Yeah. Like, to get a raise, to get a promotion.
And you want to work your job.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Working my job, got the kids, so
3 kids and a job.
3 kids, job, house, like, the whole shebang, like everything. So it was just like, you know what? Like, just go all in, right? So the thing what helped me succeed on the corporate side was like my ridiculous, crazy, like work ethic. Yeah. Like, I know some people say like they hustle, they're grinders, they work like, I'm a maniac when it comes to like working. Like, I will stay up 3 days in a row and not go to sleep just so I can win. Whatever it takes by any means necessary. That's how crazy I am. So essentially, I took that same energy and I put it inside of e-com. Like, that's the only thing I did. I transferred the same work ethic, energy, everything I was exerting in that arena, and I just put it into this business model. And the great thing is that it didn't even take me 30 days. It only took me 22 days to actually see some results. Like, through the entire process, finding products, building a website. And here's the thing, right? I see a lot of people when they get started in e-com, like, they haven't chosen the product yet, and they're like, what are the best apps to put on my store? Yeah. Well, do you have a store? You know what I'm saying? Like, figure out the apps and do you have a store? Do you know what you're selling yet? Like, how do I create Facebook ads? Like, do you have a website? You got products. Like, don't think about. So with me personally, I just looked at all the different steps from all this different stuff that I was learning. It was just like, all right, well, the first thing I got to do is I got to pick a niche. I got to pick some products to sell.
The riches are in the niches. You believe this?
Exactly. The riches in the niches. Absolutely. Yeah. So pick the product. And it was like, all right, what's the next thing I got to do? All right, everyone else says I need to build a website. Okay, I got to build a website. What do I use to build a website? Like, that literally, like, that was my thought process. And here's the thing. I hear all this conversation, especially with newbies, like, what about Shopify versus WooCommerce versus WordPress versus Magento versus Volusion? I'm like, all these different things out there. Here was my simplicity of my thinking once again. All these people making money on the internet says use Shopify. All these rich people using Shopify. I'm going to use Shopify. True. Like, that was that was the boom. That was it. Like, all right, boom. I'm gonna use Shopify because all the rich people are using Shopify. Yeah. All right. Now I'm using Shopify. I got this website built. Now I got to find suppliers for these products. Right. Boom. Let me go find some suppliers. And then literally next step. All right. Got suppliers. Got products. Now it's time to run ads. And like, how do I run ads? I don't know. Let's go figure it out. So I literally just looked at accomplishing every single thing, just step by step. And I didn't think about how to run ads until it was time to run ads, right? I didn't stress myself out about that. Again, this is if you're really hungry and you really, really want to win. With e-commerce, for me, it was a simple decision. I cut everything out of my life except for obviously my job and family.
And you were using the money from your job to support the e-commerce business?
With the little bit I had, it was real tight by the time I started doing it. Like, by the time I decided to actually go get a job, like, it was like do or die at that point. I mean, it was the point that, like, I was getting ready to file bankruptcy. It was like bankruptcy and get a job. Like, I might have to file bankruptcy. But again, I just didn't want to do that because I wanted to, again, just take full ownership of all my responsibilities. So decided to do the more challenging thing, which is, go and get a job again, and just work my face off doing that. And so I said, you know what? I obviously have to do well on my job. So I got my job, I got my family, and I got business. That was it.
Yeah.
Like I cut everything else. So if I wasn't at my job, I was doing e-com. If I wasn't with my family, I was doing e-com. Yeah. If I was using the bathroom, I was doing e-com.
Yeah. You still do that,
I still do that.
Yeah.
So like, everything just like only thing that mattered to me was like how I could build this business. And I didn't really necessarily look at like how long it was going to really take to create success. I just knew I had to commit to the business and then figure everything out that I need to know, because there are people winning in this arena, and I know that I could just be able to have a piece of the pie if I really started to figure out how to put everything together.
Yeah.
Right. And so essentially, after getting started, again, it took me 22 days, launched. I decided to run Google ads versus Facebook ads. Yeah. Well, one of the main reasons is that, I kind of understood, again, based off of all the stuff that I had researched and information, was that there's a lot more intent behind someone going to a search engine versus like social media, especially for like a higher priced product. And I was just, the logic for me just sounded a lot better running Google ads. So started running Google ads, and I got my first sale in like the first like 48 hours. It was like turned on ads within 37 hours or something like that. Had my first sale come in. It was actually kind of funny because I made the customer feel very nervous because I called them because I thought it was a fake sale. I was just like, somebody scamming me. Like, there's no way this is real. I called the customer. I was like, hey, did you order this on our website? He's like, yeah, is everything okay? And I was like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. My bad.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so... Yeah, got that first sale. Was like I think it was like $320 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like it was just like, oh wow, like this actually really works. It was someone that came to like this thing I built that I never spoke to, never had a conversation. Yeah. Like when the sale came in, again, I remember exactly where I was at. I was like pulling in my neighborhood. I was coming home from church, and then I heard that, the infamous Shopify cha-ching.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? I never heard that before. Like, who is this a new ringtone? So yeah, man, I heard that, and that just gave me the just kind of like, boom, like I know I could actually do this. And so within the next couple months, I was able to actually replace my full-time income. Awesome. I was able to quit my job. That month I did like $47,000 or $41,000 in sales, like $17,000 in net profit. And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it now.
Oh my God. And then what was the next step? You focused on one store, or you started building many stores on the same niche or different niches?
Yeah, so I focused on that one store, replaced fiance's income. Now she's a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're like two stay-at-home parents.
So you had a strategy behind this. You have to replace your income, then your fiance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, this isn't like, for me personally, like I'm all about like, playing offense, making sure that I'm building for the long term, things of that nature. So a lot of different things that people do and kind of chase from a strategy perspective. Obviously there's going to be strategies that you want to implement, but some of the things in terms of like trying to find quick wins isn't what I like to do. Like, again, might be different depending on who it is that you're talking to and stuff, but like drop shipping from China, like just isn't something that's a long-term win. And like if you do it temporarily, like the thing is, in my opinion, if you do it, because the people that I know that win long-term, they do it temporarily with the vision of working with a better supplier that can have better fulfillment, and have better quality products. Like you just can't like upload a bunch of products, in my opinion, to your site, just randomly start selling stuff and expect everything to be perfect. You need to talk to the suppliers, have conversations, like the things that nobody really wants to do when they start e-com. They just think that they can just plug in these products and the stores just start printing money.
Exactly. So let me ask you, how important is to focus on one coach or one mentor? Did you have many mentors, or you just follow the advice of one guy when you started dropshipping?
Yeah, so for me, because like I said, I had bought a lot of different programs, and it wasn't necessarily like one person I decided to focus on. It was like the one thing I was going to focus on, right? So like, for example, like when people look at like driving traffic, like I see some people, they're like, oh, I'm running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and Google ads. Nothing's really working. Or maybe they have a little bit of success on Facebook, nothing on Google and Instagram, and they're trying to do too many things at once instead of focus. Like I think really people just need to pick one channel and focus on that from like a marketing perspective, or just any perspective in just terms of e-com. If you want to do print on demand, POD, focus on POD. If you want to do, building a brand and creating, a real asset, then build a brand. If you want to, focus on high ticket drop shipping, focus on high ticket drop shipping. But in terms of like mentors, like for me personally, like I have specific mentors for me on the specific areas that I need to grow in. So for example, I have a mentor for email marketing. Yeah. Right. And because of that, I even just looked at my numbers the other day. Like my email marketing, like abandoned cart sequence is like 30% right now, which is like ridiculous. Yeah. Like I think the average on Shopify is like 7. Right. Yeah. And so like whatever area it is that I'm looking to grow in, I go and find the person that's the best, that has credibility, that has that's consistent and is active in the game. Active in the game. Like that is so like important to me. It's like, there's a lot of people that, come out with these courses and create content or like have coaching programs, whatever the case is, but they're not active. Like they're selling their experience from what they did like a few years ago, which isn't applicable to today. Like the same things that you did previously before might not necessarily create success. And the thing is, let's say hypothetically it is, you wouldn't even really know because you ain't in the game. Exactly. Right? So you can't even say. Like, one of the videos that I had that went viral on YouTube. Oh, yeah. I tell people like from that video, it's the same principles I still teach. And the reason why I can say that with so much confidence, because I actively still do it. At any point in time, like I can show you what's happening, what's popping off, like what's going on, from stuff that I'm actively doing. So that's the biggest challenge I see with a lot of people, like when it comes to like finding people. And I'm not saying someone has to necessarily like listen to me or like follow me in terms of ecom, but if you're looking to like learn how to build long-term success, especially like in the world of e-commerce and drop shipping and high ticket ecom, then I would probably say I'm the best person that you should follow. Right? I agree. But people just need to figure out like, who's the person that I need to go to in order to build the business. Like if it's like, starting a social media agency, if it's starting an agency in general, if it's, maybe even starting a travel blog, whatever the case is, go find who's the best at that thing, the expert, and, go pay them whatever it is you need to pay them to shortcut the process. And I firmly, strongly believe that. And I'm not saying it because I want people to necessarily flock from this video and come pay me, but I'm saying it because that's what's going to help you create success. At the end of the day, you're going to need to get more knowledge and stuff that's out there other than like YouTube stuff. Because I can tell you, like, without a shadow of a doubt, the stuff that I know, like in ecom, like there's an immense amount of information that's straight non-Googleable. Like I want to trademark that term or something. From experience. Non-Googleable. Like you can't find out some of the stuff that I can show you and teach you. It's just not out there.
So how Earnest from a high ticket dropshipper became a world renowned coach, like thousands of people trust you. They are in your Facebook group. They see your video on YouTube or they join your program. How you transition from a seller to a coach?
So, the biggest thing was I just focused on serving people, right? So like, I think a lot of people, they want to create coaching programs or, digital products and stuff like that, which nothing wrong with that to create extra money. But for me, like I just focused on serving people. And honestly, I didn't even know I could get paid as a coach when I started doing it. Like I didn't even find out until someone offered to pay me like $100. And I was like, what? $100? Oh my God, this is crazy. I was like, people actually make money doing this? So it took me a while to like even wrap my mind around the concept. Because again, like I came from the whole like school, corporate background. Like, I didn't really like look at that perspective or even know like that existed. And so like I focused on the mentality of just serving people. So like, around between pretty much 2015 and 2017, all I did was just aggressively just serve people in the different Facebook groups, the forums I was a part of. And, I just gave away just tons and tons of stuff, for free without even really looking for anything in advance. And then other opportunities just started showing up and arising. And then, just like, okay, I could actually create some additional revenue from this. So, transition to actually becoming like a paid coach. And it was just like, wow, this is really cool. And then, inevitably what kind of brought around like the digital course side of things is just like, you can only serve but so many people at one time. But if I was able to modulate, the information on the things that consistently get success from a long-term perspective, based upon the thousands of people that I've actually spoken to, then, I could give people this roadmap that would help them create success. And so that's what initially got me in the aspect of like becoming a coach, getting paid to do it, and then creating a course around that so I could be able to serve more people. And then, it's just like, wow, I can actually, generate revenue by doing this, and I can serve a lot more people.
Yeah. And I think we can see that when you have so many speaking gigs in your career. People are inviting you in all over the world to speak and share your knowledge. And may I ask you, what do you think is the number one problem that people have and stops them from achieving the life they want or the success they want? You've talked probably with thousands of people all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What do you think is the one thing?
Man, I wish we could boil it down to one thing, but really at the end of the day, just kind of like with my just kind of segue into the industry, or I think with just entrepreneurs in general, because like whether you look at like e-commerce, you look at like running an agency, you look at like starting a traditional business, landscaping company, a contractor, it doesn't matter. Like the failure rate is extremely high.
True.
So it's just like, with that being said, like, well, what is the determining things for the people that win, right? And so one of the biggest things at the end of the day is the person that you got to go and look at in the mirror every single day, which is like you, right? And the biggest thing most people get caught on is like they're just kind of stuck on the things that they don't have, or the knowledge that they don't have, or like certain fears, like the fear of failure, the fear of rejection. And the thing is that when that fear arises, no matter what it is or whatever challenge that arises, you just got to know that you can push through it, right? And not let the fear just stop you from taking action. The only difference between like yourself, myself, a lot of, super successful people is like we feel the fear, we embrace the pain, we embrace the challenge, and we just do it anyways. Like we just push through it. Like, man, you know what? This sucks. Like, maybe like your ad account gets shut down on Facebook. Like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like for me specifically, like in, I think it was like late 2017, early 2018, my Google account got suspended, right? That was where like 80% of my income was coming from, right? And so I just lost 80% of my income overnight.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was just like, I'm going to have to go get a job. People are going to say I'm a fraud.
Oh my God.
I was freaking out.
What should you do to overcome this problem?
Yeah, so again, bad situation happens, right? Like, what do I do? Like, scared, don't know what to do, this is crazy. How am I going to get my account back? And so what I did, and this is the power of like, surrounding yourself with other successful people, putting yourself in the right arena, building relationships. So I picked up the phone and I called some of my close friends and was just like, hey, my Google account got shut down. What should I do? And, talked to a couple of them, people kind of, motivated me, stuff like that. And specifically with two of my friends, one of them told me to start focusing on SEO. The other one told me to start, advertising on other channels. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's something as simple as that. Like, bro, stop freaking out. Just go get traffic somewhere else. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. But it took me a couple of days to like realize that. I was like stressed out. I was like feeling miserable. Like, I'm such a failure. It's just like, bro, stop tripping. Like, just go find traffic other places. Like, there's traffic everywhere.
I think community is so important.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love your group. And I first met you through your group.
Oh, okay.
And the tips you share there are amazing. I think many people really get great value from your group. And I really think that groups nowadays, especially Facebook groups, can really change a man or a woman's mind and really get him going through this journey we call entrepreneurship. Yeah. And bro, I really thank you for the value you give in your group. Yeah.
No, like Jay-Z has a quote where he says, people would rather emulate the results instead of emulate the process. Right. And so like, we're talking about like what holds people back is like that process, right? It's the process of what you have to do that's going to get you to the prize. And so like, no matter what comes up, whatever challenges, again, even the process of what just broke, like the system broke when my account got suspended. All right, well, just take the process and system that you had, and go implement it somewhere else, right? And for me specifically, that was running Bing ads. And so I started running traffic from Bing, and it was just like, boom, okay. People coming in, starting to get some more sales, some more traffic, and then I started doing some SEO stuff, and that helped make up like another like 25%. So now instead of losing 80%, I'm at like 45% in terms of like sales. So it wasn't like, you know, again, things are booming like 60, 80K months, but 20, 30K. So it still keeps me afloat, you know? And so that's what I did. And then inevitably my account got, you know, turned back on, got unsuspended. And then like literally like the same weekend it happened, like $10,000 came in, you know? So it was just like, back in business, baby. Back in business. So yeah, it's like, I think the biggest challenge that people have is just like, you know, holding themselves accountable, staying persistent and consistent in the process, and just know that, you know, even when things don't go your way, like just having the faith to like keep pushing forward, keep moving forward. Yeah.
And because I always like to share great tips, and I want people to leave this video and have some tips to follow, you know, some actionable strategy to follow. What do you think is the best way to get into high-ticket dropshipping or high-ticket e-commerce generally and have success on it?
Yeah. So like really the main primary difference like with high ticket versus like selling like lower ticket items or medium ticket items is just like switching your thought process in terms of like what products that you're sourcing and the price points that you're sourcing. So one of the great things is by the end of this interview, I'll leave you guys with a link that you can go to and get like a ton of different like high ticket products where I've literally had people building like multiple 6-figure, 7-figure year stores based upon this list. So like in terms of like finding the products, like that's already mainly taken care of for you. But the other thing is like when you go out and actively do research, it's like, again, using the tools that'll help you get the right type of data and information so you can make a good, strong decision on what it is that you want to sell. So an example is one of the tools I recommend people use is a tool called Keywords Everywhere. And with Keywords Everywhere, it's a free Chrome extension. You can download it. Doesn't cost anything. I know everybody wants free. So, and I use this tool personally myself too. It's awesome. So you download it, and the amazing thing that this tool will do is it will actually tell you how frequently someone's actually going to Google and actually actively looking for the thing it is that you want to sell.
Awesome.
Right? So you don't have to play guessing games about what you have to sell or what you want to sell. You can literally say, oh man, I wonder if anyone would actually want to buy this. Well, guess what? Go look and see if there's anybody looking for it. So if there's a lot of people looking for it, obviously that's something that could be of great value. If there's a little bit of people looking for it, that's going to be probably not as much value. Great example, like if you were to put in electric fireplaces into this tool, right? It will show you, and it tells you how many people are looking for it on average, like inside of Google specifically, right? So you put this in Keywords Everywhere, it'll show you 200,000 people.
My God.
Go to Google, looking for an electric, not just a fireplace, an electric fireplace every single month. 200,000 people.
So you see a market there.
Like, come on, right? Like, now here's the thing. Now when you go to do further research, so Keywords Everywhere, the second tool that you're going to be able to use is also free. It's just the shopping section on Google. So if you put your product in, you go to the shopping section. And one of the things that's going to happen is two things. So the first thing, which is really great, is Google's actually going to break down the price points into like the categories of where most people are spending their money on average. Right? And so typically like it's usually broken down in like 4 categories. Like the first one will be like the lowest tier, like it'll be like $200 or less, or like $50 or less. That means that, you know, there's a market of people that's spending $200 or less that's actively looking for these type of products. But typically, on average, the second and third price structure that they break it down to, because they usually do 4, is generally what most people are spending on average that are looking for that specific product. Again, this is the shopping section. Google's giving you all the data of what people are spending and shopping on and breaking it down for you on the left-hand side, right? But along with that, after taking a look at that column, what you can do is literally just review the shopping section itself and look at the different product listing ads and see what Google is saying. Hey, here's all the most recent products that everyone is buying, because they're going to show you the most relevant, highly searched, highly clicked, highly bought stuff because they need to make money. So you can literally just look at that list and be like, man, well, what are people spending their money on for these products? $800,000 or $800, $200, $400, $1,200, $2,000. And so you can literally just go through, like, typically I like to go through like the first 2 or 3 pages if it's a product I'm unfamiliar with, and just see, all right, what are the top 30 products that Google's telling me that people are buying, and what's the average price point of these?